Bro, it's so funny. I can say like the most popular user and they just
Good morning and welcome to the Department of Communication Studies DCS Symposium 2023 under the theme Recheck, Rebound, and Restore. I am Onicia Dixon.
And I'm Trusted Gristle. Now we have a packed schedule coming up just for you, but I'm reminding you that this is our first event for today. Of course, we have one coming up in the afternoon. So we anticipate your participation in this program, and I'm just eager to see what is in store for not just me, not just us, Onicia,
Yes.
but for the entire DCS family and to those who are watching online. Speaking of those who are watching online, we say welcome to you who are watching on our YouTube page at NCU DCS TV. We are so happy to have you here. Before we get into the program, we'll be turning over to Nicolay Gunn, who will be doing for us a short devotion.
Thank you so much, Justin. Good morning, everyone, and I will be doing your devotion for today. The text for this morning is Jeremiah 29, verse 11. It says, "For I know the thoughts that I think towards you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end." Now, I know that it's hard sometimes to be at university, and also
There's no
that
order
it gets
coming
challenging
here.
sometimes being young and figuring out life. And sometimes we go through, struggles, insecurities, and we have a lot to think about, a lot to decide, a lot to, say that, God, we need your help, right? But what God is promising us is that regardless of what we go through in life, regardless of the things that we face, regardless of the circumstances that we may go through, the crucibles that we may face or go through, that He will be with us. He has a plan for our life. And that is important as university students or as workers, yeah? We need to be reminded that God has something planned for our life. It says here that He has an expected end. No, God is the finisher. He's the author of our faith. And so if He has an expected end for us, we know that it's in good hands, right? So I'm going to encourage you today, as we look on the theme, refocus, recheck, or rebound, yes, restoration, right? We want to tell you that it's okay to trust in God because He has a plan for you. And also, allow Him to use you and work in your life as you go through your various challenges. I do want to pray for you as we close this segment. Let us pray. Dear God and our Father, we thank you for your plans. We thank you for your grace and your tender mercies upon us. As we are about to go through this program, I'm asking you to be with the production and all the hosts and all that will be coming with it. Thank you for DCS. Thank you for Northern Caribbean University. And thank you for giving us your promises so we can hold on to them in our time of desperation. In your name I pray. Amen.
Thank you so much, Nicolay. Such a timely reminder. As Tristan would have rightly mentioned, we do have a packed day. Now, what should you expect? Now, we will be having breakout sessions, panel discussions with media experts. It promises to be a good one, so you don't want to miss that.
Speaking of our breakout sessions, we have an excellent lineup just for you, our students. We'll be having individuals for the different emphases, PR, radio, journalism, and the television. I'll be just sharing the names with you. We have this particular individual, Onicia.
Yes.
It so happened that I was watching TV last night, and I saw in the credits at the end of the show, scriptwriter, series producer / director for Losing It, Miss Sharon Schroeter. So
Yes.
I'm actually excited to have seen her name on
the credits.
Right. And knowing that she would have been a part of our program for today. So we have Sharon Schroeter, we have Mr. Daryl Forges, Naomi Garrick, and Cynthia Clark. That's it for our breakout session. As it regards our panel discussion, Our moderator will be Basilia Barnaby Cuff. We have Mr. Milton Walker, Truston Grizzle, Sachelle McDonald Gray, as well as Mr. Cliff Hughes. So it's a powerhouse. We have
Yes,
a lot
awesome
of powerhouses
lineup,
here.
Truston.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
Truston, I want to hear from you. What are your expectations for the day? What are you looking forward to most?
Well, as the theme says, you know, recheck, rebound, and restore. The thing that is coming to my mind is COVID. And of course, everybody is over this
it.
COVID thing. We don't want to hear anything about it, right? But it is very important for us as budding media practitioners that we understand the effects that COVID has had on our industry, whether the
Indeed.
positives or the negatives.
Negative.
Right. So that is the focus of today's program, you know. What to look forward to, what should we prepare ourselves for, you know? So especially for our panel discussion, I'm looking forward to that. That is going to be the event of the day for me.
That makes two of us, Truston. I'm also looking forward to the breakout session. As Truston would have said, we have an awesome lineup, and I'm looking forward to that.
Take time lessons.
That you want to make room for.
Sometimes it's not always just going to be
It's not going to come to you
right in
all
front
the
of you.
time.
Sometimes you need to be the person that pushes the envelope.
Right.
Time is critical. So when we talk about broadcast journalism or television, you've got to make sure you are there. So time is one part of it. Now, you also need to build skills that are necessary to be successful in this industry. And it takes more than commitment.
Journalism is important. It's how we keep people informed. So journalism has the power to evoke change. You, all of you in here, when you start right, you will have the power to force change when you do it and do it properly.
I want to encourage everybody that passion, purpose, all these buzzwords that are going around, don't get caught up in titles. I tell people, never get caught up in titles. Go with what feels right to you. And what feels right to you will be very different as your life progresses.
I personally don't think radio is dead, especially when you look at, you know, discovering new music. Like they just really did, I forgot who it was, but they did a new article basically saying that even in 2022, radio is still the #1 place where people find new artists to listen to. So in my honest opinion, I don't think it's dying. I think it's evolving. But what comes with evolution? More work. You start to see more people with podcasts. You start to see more people with websites. You start to see more people with ownership.
Last year's Symposium 2022 was a good one. Would you agree with me, Truston?
I would.
Yeah,
yes.
man. And this year promises to be even better. Now, this event would not have been possible without the kind contributions from these persons. At this time, I want to mention our sponsors for this Symposium 2023. And I'm going to urge you to follow these pages on social media. We have our first sponsor, Independence City Pharmacy, and their Instagram handle is iCityPharmacy. That's Independence City Pharmacy, iCity Pharmacy. We have Kelcar's Catering, and their Instagram handle is kscaterings.ja. That is K'(S) caterings.ja. We also have 100 Shades of Beauty, and their Instagram handle is at 100 Shades of Beauty. That's at 100 Shades of Beauty.
And of course, we have Carla's Escape Spa. Their handle is at Carla's Escape. Carla's Escape Spa at Carla's Escape. And finally, we have Prestige Phone Accessories. You can find them on Instagram at _prestige_phones_. Once again, that is at prestige_phones_. Thank you so much to our sponsors. We really appreciate it. At this time, we'll be having an item of entertainment by one of our very own, Selenia James.
We have to powered up and get charged up. We have to full of energy. Demons, we are burn up. We have to powered up and get charged up. We have to full of energy. Demons, we are burn up. We have to powered up and get ready for the war. We have to charge up because demons not there for. We nah fight against no bag of human beings, but instead holy powers and principalities. So then we have to put on the armor. I got the belt of truth, the helmet of salvation, the shield of faith in number right, and you see Jesus. Him a the real big man. We have to powered up and get charged up. We have to full of energy. Demons, we have burn up. We have to powered up and get charged up. We have to full of energy. Demons, we have burn up. We have to powered up and get charged up. Charged up, charged up. Unlocking your success is a must for no more about God. For make you well conscious, study the word of God that will main focus. Fit your down Jericho wall that is before us. You see the word of God, it keep firm. Spread the word of God that will main concern. You see the word of God make evil skin burn. You see that Tobia, it make people learn faith. Powered up and get charged up. We have to full of energy. Demons, we are burn up. We have to powered up and get charged up. We have to full of energy. Demons, we are burn up. We have to powered up and get charged up. Charged up, charged up. My Christian life, sometime it no right. Me feel lonely with no one by my side. God intervene, take control of my life. You are the...
Pick up.
I was choking.
Figured. I'm gonna pause it though, so you can probably cut out this part.
My Christian life, sometime it no right. Me feel lonely with no one by my side. God intervene, take control of my life. You are the reason why I am.
Academic Affairs through the Provost, the Associate Provost, Dr. Nadibala Paul, and certainly from the College of Humanities, Behavioral and Social Sciences, within which the Department of Communication Studies, the DCS, is housed. I took a look at the theme that was selected, recheck, rebound, and restore. And I tried to define each term to see how well I could grasp the concept of this theme. And I came up with names such as for recheck, amend, reassess, reevaluate, reexamine, rethink, and review. For rebound, we come upon an upward leap of movement, bouncing back and recovery. And for restore, we have synonyms such as bring back, build up, improve, modernize, rebuild, reconstruct, recover, and reestablish. And all of this comes against the backdrop of the COVID-19 pandemic, which saw the emergence of disruptions and destruction across the education landscape nationally and internationally, and specifically caused a paradigm shift in teaching and learning. As Wilmot Mutty Perkins would say, things fell apart. The center was not holding. And that is exactly the experience that we went through the COVID pandemic. Here at NCU, we moved from a mostly face-to-face teaching experience when all our campuses were forced to shut down as the pandemic wreaked havoc in Jamaica and across the world. One of our options then was to move the teaching learning experience into the virtual space on many platforms, utilizing multi-teaching modalities. The university has announced that it will bring back students to all our campuses in August of this year to re-engage in face-to-face teaching. However, this return will see the university facilitating teaching through mixed modalities such as face-to-face, blended, and hybrid, to make a few. The DCS, throughout the pandemic, has maintained its proactive record of being innovative, creative, and deliberate in its process growth and program delivery, emerging as a success story and in demand across the media landscape in Jamaica and beyond. I am proud of the DCS. Northern Caribbean University is proud of the DCS and its accomplishments under the leadership of Ms. Noreen Daly and the team of dedicated and committed workers and our students who continue to champion the cause of Adventist Christian education. As we unravel and unpack the theme, recheck, rebound, and restore in this symposium, I trust that all participants and everyone engaged in this refreshing experience will be richly rewarded. May the peace of God attend and His presence overwhelms us as we continue to honor Him throughout this DCS Week of Excellence. Blessings on you all and God's peace.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vincent Peterkin, Dean of the College of Humanities, Behavioral and Social Sciences. I just want to take this opportunity to welcome those who are just joining us on YouTube at NCU DCS TV. We are welcome to Symposium 2023 under the theme Recheck, Rebound, and Restore. Now, media has 4 categories: radio, journalism, public relations, and television. For this segment, we will be separated into breakout rooms based on those emphases that I would have stated earlier, where viewers will get a chance to participate in a 1-hour interactive session with a host and one of our special presenters. For 3 of those sessions, you will be given a link to join a room on Zoom, while the 4th session will remain here on YouTube. For television, we are joined by Sharon Schroeter, one of Jamaica's most talented live television producers and Senior Managing Director at Benchmark Productions. This session will be hosted by Assistant Lab Coordinator here at the Department of Communication Studies and a fourth-year student with an emphasis in TV production. I speak of no other than Mr. Jamie Roden. If you are a public relations major, or if that's an area of interest to you, your guest presenter will be PR consultant and brand strategist at Garrick Communications, Naomi Garrick. The host for that session is media practitioner and 4th-year public relations student, Satasia Koch.
And of course, our 3rd breakout session is radio. It will be hosted by news presenter and anchor right here at NCU FM and 4th-year radio student, Mrs. Jonelie Forsyth. Your guest presenter for radio will be Cynthia Clark, director at Caribbean Global Network. And our final breakout session for all you journalism lovers, it will be hosted by news presenter, producer, and reporter at GNN, and final year student right here with an emphasis in journalism, Amoy Harriot. The guest presenter for that session will be news anchor at WDSU TV, Daryl Forges. Now, this session in particular, the journalism session, will remain right here on the YouTube live stream. Links to the breakout sessions have been posted, so you can go ahead and click which one you want to be a part of, and that will take you to the designated rooms. We will reconvene right here at 11:30.
All right. Amo, you hearing me?
Yes, hearing you. Are you hearing me clearly?
Yes, I'm hearing you. All right,
Okay.
stand by. We're going live. So.
A pleasant morning to each and every student, each and every staff, each and every guest speaker that's joining us this morning, whether you're on Zoom, whether you're on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us. Right now, we're in the journalism breakout session. I am Amoy Harriet, final year journalism student here at NCU. And I don't know about you, but I'm very excited for what today's program has to offer. Now, thank you so much to Truston and our other host this morning for sharing with us and for kickstarting our morning with a lot of excitement. Big up to Anika, big up to Truston again. You know, love you guys, love the work that you continue to do. Now, let's just jump right into it. Our theme this week has been recheck, rebound, and restore. And I know each and every one of you have your own definition, your own understanding of what this theme is, and whatever that definition or whatever that understanding is for you, let that be your motivation to continue, to push forward, to go through the finish line as NCU students here, especially those in your final year or graduating in a few months. And this is the period when you're supposed to be restoring yourselves. Everything that you've learned over the past 4 years, restoring yourselves and preparing yourself for the work of the world, especially now that we're readjusting to the post-pandemic journalism, TV, radio, PR life. So yes, thank you so much again for joining us. And just a little reminder for those of you who are on YouTube, I am Amoy Harriet, as I stated earlier. And to kind of break the tension this morning, I want to do a quick icebreaker. And I don't want to look a funky icebreaker. So I came with something that I know you guys might enjoy, something that a lot of people tend to find very exciting. And that is song association. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this game, and I want to jump over into the YouTube chat so that my persons on YouTube can be involved as well. However, I am noticing that the YouTube is a bit delayed, so I'm hoping this doesn't affect with the timeline and everything where the game is concerned. But for those of you who aren't familiar with song association, I will basically give you a word, and you have 10 seconds to type in the chat the name of a song that has that word in it. And like I said, I'm hoping that the delay on YouTube doesn't affect that timing, but it's a very wonderful game, and I'm pretty sure that you guys will enjoy it. I'm just going to be throwing out probably like 5 words in the interest of time, because we do want to hear from our guest speaker who's joined us this morning and has a lot of information to share for us as students. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. I'm going over to the YouTube chat. I am seeing Trisha again, Nicholas, Shari, Maxine Anderson. Thank you so much, guys, for joining. And for those of you on Zoom, I would love if you could participate as well. Just send your word, send your song title in the chat, and who the singer of that song is, right? Who the artist is. So the first word in this game, this little icebreaker, is love. I'm going to start the timer because I don't want to have me over here 20 seconds and nobody can't give me a song. The word love, very, very common song. I'm pretty sure you guys know a couple songs with the word love in it. So type in the chat the name of a song that has the word love. I see Tristan Grizzle said, love is a flag flown high. I don't even know that one. Love is a flag flown high. All right. Okay, no problem. He said he doesn't know the singer. Love lifted me. Sheridan says, love lifted me. I know that one. Love lifted me. I'm going to sing a Sheridan, but we know that song. Is this love? Trisha Gay said, is this love? Kibichi said, love of the brain. Girl, I know that one. Love of the brain. Nicolay says, always love you. Yes, yes, yes. All right. So the next word is one. O-N-E. One. Come on, in the chat, let me see some song titles with the word one in it. One. And Devon, I don't want to forget my Zoom people now, you know. Devon said Love So by VK. That was his response to the word or previous word. So thank you so much, Devon. All right, one is our next word. Give me some song titles with one. Let me see One Love with the Kalian Trust and say One Love. All right. All right, Onisa says One Love, One More Night, one by Luis Capildo, One Love, One Night only. All right, I'm loving it. All right, now our final word is success. Success, give me a song title with the word success. All right, watch not scratching the head. No, come on, song title with the word success. Success. All of you want success? Give me a song with the word success in it. I'm over on YouTube. All right, Justin says success story. Yes. Daniel said LOL, we don't know any. All right, Trisha also says success story. Wonderful. Now, in the interest of time, we're just going to stop right here. Thank you guys so much for participating. That was a very interactive session. My people are on YouTube full of vibes, and I love that. All right. All right. So like I stated earlier, we do want to hear from our guest presenter. So right about now, I am going to be introducing such guest presenter. But before we go, we have to big up our sponsors, because without them, this session would not be what it is. So big up Independent City Pharmacy all the way, K's Catering, 100 Shades of Beauty, Carla's Escape Day Spa, Prestige Phone and Accessories. Thank you so much to our sponsors. We do appreciate the work that you have done. Now, who is our speaker for today's session? Hailing from New Orleans and a proud graduate of the University of West Georgia, Daryl Forges is currently the 12 p.m. and 4 p.m. anchor for WDSU. He was most recently a national correspondent for CNN News Source, which is CNN's network. Now, before joining CNN, Forges was a reporter for NBC6 WTVJ in Miami, Florida. Now, prior to NBC6, Forges was a reporter for NWCF in Montgomery, Alabama, where he won several awards for his reporting from the Associated Press and the Alabama Broadcasters Association. Now, overall, he has obtained several awards, including South Florida's 30 Under 30 Future Black Leaders of Tomorrow, an Emmy nomination, the University of West Georgia's Thriving Under 30, and recently the UWG 2022 Spotlight Award, which is awarded to young West Georgia alum who has brought credit to the university in a relatively short period of time. Everyone, let's give a big, warm NCU welcome to our presenter, Daryl Forges. Over to you, Mr. Forges.
All right. Oh boy, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Really appreciate it. And thank you all so much at NCF for having me here. This is an honor and a privilege to talk to you all today about, my career, my experiences, and also I hope that when you leave here that you're encouraged and that you're also influenced by the things that I say that'll make you fully prepared whenever you're ready to go into the workforce. So before I get started more on me and everything, I want to go ahead and get started. I want to share my screen with you guys, if that's okay. Stand by for 1 second. I'm going to share this with you guys. This is my PowerPoint presentation. So there we go. All right. So again, me, Daryl Forges. And so I want to show you guys the work that I've done, within the past few months here at WDSU. I've been here for the past, I would say maybe 7, 8 months. So a lot has happened here, but I want to give you a brief look at the things that I've done here so far. So take a look. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing it for a second. Were you guys able to see? Let me know yes or no. Were you guys able to see that video at all or no?
Yes, you were able to see the video, but no audio.
Okay, yeah, it was showing on my end, but no worries, it's okay. Well, we're gonna keep it moving. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen again and just go back to our PowerPoint, and here we go. All right. So I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I am, as Amoy recently just said, I am currently a news anchor for WDSU News in New Orleans. I've been here for probably about 7 or 8 months. Before I was here, I was a national correspondent for CNN, traveling all across the country. And then before that, I was a reporter and anchor with NBC Miami. I was there for 3 years. It was an awesome experience on so many different levels. And then before that, my very first job I got out of college was as a reporter anchor for aka WNCF in Montgomery, Alabama. I worked there for about 2 years. I was what you call an MMJ, a multimedia journalist. I shot, wrote, edited all my own stuff and really grinded out. That really showed me, and I really learned a lot during that time. And of course, I was a graduate of the University of West Georgia. I graduated back in 2014, which seems like a long time ago. All right, so stories and interviews. I've done a lot during my time in my career. It's been a short career, but it's been a great career so far. Of course, one of the biggest interviews I did to start my career was I was able to interview Oprah Winfrey back when they were premiering the movie Selma. I've also interviewed as recently Jennifer Hudson, talking about her show that's on our network, the Jennifer Hudson Show. While I was at CNN, I was covering so many things all across the country, including back in 2020. I covered, I was in ground zero basically with the whole George Floyd protest, speaking to his family, talking to people there on the ground. And you see that picture right there, me basically at the site where George Floyd took his final breaths. One of the biggest moments, I would say, probably in history, especially during our time during the pandemic. I also covered some more, tough stories. I also covered, unfortunately, the death of basketball star Kobe Bryant in Los Angeles. I've covered both the Biden and the Trump administrations at the White House. Those are pretty cool moments for me. A lot of politics, a lot of sad stories, but I've also covered a lot of good stories as well. One of the fun stories you probably see there to your right, I believe, me at Times Square in New York. I was able to do the New Year's Eve ball drop in New York City right there amongst, celebrities, other fellow journalists. That was probably one of the coolest experiences of my life. Just sit there, and before you know it, you have celebrities walking by. You got Steve Harvey coming over this way. You got Post Malone walking over here. You got BTS doing sound checks behind you. That was definitely one of the coolest moments for sure of my career. So the cool thing about, me working in the opportunities that I've worked at is I've covered some sad stories. I've also covered some good stories. And the amazing thing about this industry is that you just never know. You never know what you're going to cover day to day. One day you think you're covering something, and before you know it, you're talking to a celebrity. One day you're talking to a celebrity, the next day you're doing a sad story. So this business takes you in so many different directions. And it's something that I will forever be grateful for. So things were not easy at the start of my career. I got to tell you, just like many of you, y'all are in college, and some of you might be like Amoy or getting ready to graduate pretty soon. One of the things that I did when I was in college was I was heavily involved on campus. I was a news director at my TV station in college. I anchored the news there at my local school station. I also did things for the athletic department for the University of West Georgia. I was the voice of the volleyball team, did halftime shows for the football and basketball teams. I also did that while working 2 to 3 jobs. So much, I was just heavily involved. But when I graduated, I thought it was just going to be super simple to get a job when I left, and that was not the case. So when I graduated, I applied to over 30 news stations from all across the country, and they all said no. All said no. I got so many different things. This business is very subjective. You have certain people who have these odd little things they say that the reason why they like you or they don't like you. And so you just got to just keep pushing and keep going, because it could be downing at times, because someone might say, I don't like the way your nose moves when you talk, or you talk too fast, or you don't dress the way we want you to dress, things like that. So it was very difficult for me to get a job once I graduated. But the important thing was I established relationships with people at my school, also networked a lot with folks all across the news business. And lo and behold, a former colleague of mine at the University of West Georgia, she went on to become a reporter, a well-known reporter in Alabama. And she called me one day and she said, hey, Daryl, we have an opening for a reporter position. Do you want to come? You want me to ask, see if they want to interview you? And I was hungry. I was like, you know what? Let's do it. I'm down. Even though it was in South Alabama, deep South Alabama, and I was going to be working pretty much by myself as an MMJ and putting together my own stories in this super small town where I didn't know anybody. But I didn't really care, because I knew that realistically in this news business, in order to gain that experience, you have to go places you probably don't want to go. But just think long term, this is going to help me in the long run. So I said, sure. I said, yeah, just all I want is just an opportunity. That's all I've been telling people when I graduated. All I want is an opportunity to just show you what I can do, right? I'll tell you a quick story. Before my former colleague, she reached out to me, I did get a notification from a news director in a certain market who said, hey, we want you to come for an interview. I was so excited. Drove all the way 2-3 hours away for the interview. And he told me to my face, he said, you know, Daryl, you're a nice guy, but news is not your thing. I don't think you're going to have a career in news. I don't see you as a reporter, definitely not as a news anchor. I think that your best bet is to get into sales. And that was demoralizing. It was hurtful. And I drove back home 2-3 hours away, crying my eyes out, because I didn't know what I was going to do next. And part of me believed him, you know, because I got all these no's from other stations, and I told myself, well, maybe this is not for me. But I got an opportunity. And once I got that opportunity to go to Alabama, I made the best of it. I told myself, you know what? It's going to be tough, but I want to keep it going, and I'm going to show them what I can do. As soon as I got to Alabama, I won several awards, got to meet several celebrities, got to do some amazing things. I was supposed to be in Alabama for 3 years. I left in 2. After I left Alabama, went on to Miami, Florida, and did some amazing things in that market as well. So I'm here to tell you that you can't listen to everybody. Some people will doubt you. You have a lot of doubters out there, but you cannot let that get to you. If I'd let that get to me, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you guys today. I would not be sitting here in New Orleans, Louisiana as one of the main anchors talking to you. I would not be here. So I'm here to tell you that we may think we have it all together, but the real world will set in. Some people might try to distract you from your overall goals. Some people might be jealous of you and might make you try to deter you from what you really want to do. I'm here to tell you guys, don't listen to those naysayers. Don't listen to those folks. Because again, if I listened to those people, I would not be sitting here today talking to you all. It's very important. This business is not easy. You're dealing with a lot of different things in this business, right? You have coworkers who want to undermine you in order to get to your position. You've got people who are hard to please. You've got some people who are always going to try to tell you no. You've got people who will try to make things difficult on you. On the other side, you might have some people who want to see you grow, develop, and get better each and every day. This business is tough. Sometimes you got to deal with certain divas, and that's male and female. But at the end of the day, you have to know who you are. You have to know that deep down, this is what I want. And so therefore, I'm going to work my butt off to make sure that I get to the end result. I sure did. And I believe that many of you on this call can do that as well. All right. But it starts right at your school. It starts by doing the things there, being heavily involved, doing everything you can to make sure that you are prepared. So, questions to consider. All right. Again, are you prepared? Are you ready? Because again, the real world is not easy. There's going to be a lot of trials and tribulations, but you got to dig deep and make sure that you are ready to take those challenges on. Listen to your professors. So your professors, some of you all might have professors who you might say, you know what, you're not going to say it publicly. You might say this behind closed doors. You might say this to your fellow classmates. I can't stand Professor such and such. Why is Professor such and such so hard on me? Why is Professor such and such always picking at my work? I'm doing the best I can. What's going on? I'm here to tell you, your professors are preparing you for what's out there. Because if you think your professor's hard on you, when you get out there to news directors, when you get out there with executive producers, field producers, if you become a national correspondent like I have, they're going to demand so much out of you. They're going to try to push you each and every day. And some of them may not have good intentions. They might try to do things to you on purpose to derail you. So your professors are preparing you for what you're going to endure. Because you might be an amazing reporter, an amazing feature anchor, an amazing feature producer, feature journalist, whether it's in front of the camera or behind the camera. Just know that there are people who recognize that, who see your potential and see how great you are, but yet you're in their way. You're in their way. Man, I'm using Amoy as an example. Amoy is amazing. She's great. She's good at what she does, but she's standing in my way at the ultimate prize. Remember that. Your professors are there to prepare you for the real world because it only gets challenging, even more challenging as you enter the real world, okay? Have you done all you can before you graduated? The biggest thing I tell students and ask students all the time, and it's something you need to ask yourself, have you done everything you can possibly do before you cross that stage? That's one of the biggest things. Before you cross that stage, you got to tell yourself, hey, you know what? Did I do everything I could do on this campus? Have I done everything? Have I talked to the right people? Have I gotten fully involved? Have I fully understand all this equipment, all the news, all the sports, everything I need to know, so when I go out there for the real world, I am fully and mentally and physically prepared? All right. Final question. Did you build? This is a big one. Okay. Did you build or burn bridges within your fellow classmates? That's a big one. I don't want to hear anything about I don't like this girl that I work with in this class, or I don't like this guy that I work with in this class. They get on my nerves, and you burn that bridge, because you never know. The person that you're on this call with right now, on Zoom with, the person that you're on campus with, they may actually be the ones to help you get a job when you graduate. So that's one thing that you guys have to remember, is you got to stick together. Okay. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to be an amazing career for all of you here on this call. I think it's going to be I'm really excited to see what's next for you all. And I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you all about, my experiences, and also encourage you to tell you that, you know what, you guys can do it too. And the future is incredibly bright for so many of you all. Thank you so much. All right, Amoy.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Forges. Now, of course, we're going to be opening the floor for students, whether you're on Zoom or on YouTube, to ask your questions to our presenter. If there's anything that you want to ask relating to the topic, relating to the field that you want clarity on, or his expertise advice on, you can go ahead and send those questions right now. Now, in the interim, Mr. Forges, I'll just ask you my question. Now, what's one advice that you'd give to young journalists who are just starting out in the field and they're joining a very competitive space, whether it's the organization that they're working in or just the overall field of journalism where there's so many quote unquote seasoned journalists? What advice do you have to give to these individuals?
That's a great question. I would probably say be aggressive. That's actually a loaded question. There's several things you could do. I think one is being aggressive. Don't be afraid to talk to those producers and those managers at other stations, because if you're not doing it, the person that's competing against you for that job is doing that, right? So it's important to do that, to be aggressive. Hey, here's my number. Hey, can I talk to you? Hey, can I come in one day and shadow you and see how you do things? Hey, such and such. Like, that's one of the biggest things, is being aggressive, okay? I would also say that even though like you're coming out of school, that's okay. We've all started there. We've all been green, right? You guys do not want to see my reel when I came out of college, all right? Mine was a mess, okay? Looking back at it, I still cringe. But it's all about building experience, because you're in school, right? You got to focus on other things, classes, other extracurricular activities, and even things that's pertaining to your career. But once you go out to the real world and you're doing something each and every day for 6, 7, 8, 9 hours a day, you're naturally going to get better at it. So when you talk to these news directors, when you talk to managers, for students out there, listen, you're not selling them who you are today. You're selling them on your potential. So if Moy goes out there and tries to get a job, she's not going to tell a manager, hey, hire me because I can do X, Y, and Z. I'm great. Yeah, that's fine. But you also got to sell them on your potential. If you hire me, I'm going to get better each and every day. If you hire me, I'm going to show you that I'm worth this hire. Once you show them and sell them on your potential, sky's the limit.
All righty, thank you. No, I'm not yet seeing any questions, but just to kind of piggyback off of a comment that was just posted in the YouTube chat by Daniela, where she says, learn as you go. My other question, while the students think about the question that they want to ask, now, when we start off in the field, what's a realistic goal to have? Because in university, you know, we are in classes where, you know, we do a story and the lecturer or even our fellow peers are saying, oh, that's a good story. And you could get an award right now if this story was out there. Like, what's a realistic goal to have when you're just starting out? Because a lot of us, we want to be successful. We want to be great in the field that we're in. But there's also that small reality that when you start out, you're not going to know it all and you're not going to achieve it all. So like, what's a realistic goal to go off of, or what's kind of like your advice to say, don't set up yourself for certain disappointment? Like what kind of advice would you have in a case like that where students want to be successful, but they also have in the back of their mind that starting out, they're going to be young and fresh and they don't know it all and they probably don't have what it takes to become an award-winning journalist within the first 2 or 3 years of their career? And after you answer that question, I'll go ahead and read the question that was posted in the Zoom chat just now.
Absolutely. I would say you got to come in, and I tell students this all the time, you got to come in humble, okay? You got to come in and just be a sponge. Learn as much as you can. There's people, even in smaller markets, who've probably been there for 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Take in that knowledge. Get a mentor. Learn as much as you can. I'm not in this to win awards. I'm blessed to win awards, but I'm here to tell a story of someone who can't tell the story by themselves, right? I'm here to tell the story of young Black and brown boys and girls in New Orleans, Louisiana, who may not get the attention that they want, but they deserve that attention. You know, I'm in here for the right reasons. So I would say for students, your main focus is, well, as soon as you come in, be a sponge. Analyze people. Watch how a reporter, an anchor, or a photographer, or any journalist, watch how they conduct their work. Watch how they meet deadlines. Watch how they conduct their interviews and talk to folks and get their contacts. Watch that and try to duplicate that. And then as you're duplicating it, go through trial and error and have your own style. That's how I was able to develop. I watched so many Black male anchors my whole life. I tried to copy and duplicate what they did, but then I eventually found out Daryl Forges, the anchor, who he is, right? So I would say for you all, be a sponge. You don't know everything off the top. Be a sponge. Learn as much as you can, take it in, duplicate it, and then rearrange it and tailor it more to what is more like you.
Alrighty, and Yashika asked in the Zoom chat, how much of a role does finding the right fit for you play when navigating the field and the profession? Great question.
It's more of a challenge for you to decide you want to go to a place where you know for sure this station or this place is going to develop me. They're going to welcome me with open arms, accept my trial and error, because I've been there. My first couple stories I did in Alabama, I missed my deadline. And I was scared. I thought I was going to lose my job. But my news director called me and said, look, we know you're just starting out. We're going to work with you. Don't let it happen again. So definitely go to a place and go to a station that is fully going to accept you and that's going to fully develop you and make sure that you get better each and every day.
All right, Mr. Forges. Now, another question. Have you ever been in a position where within the workplace, a particular job or opportunity presented itself for you to grow or expand? However, your superior, probably it's a supervisor or perhaps another employee who doubts whether or not you're capable of doing what this job requires of you. Have you ever been in a position like that? And if not, can you imagine yourself being in that position and tell us how exactly you'd handle it?
Well, wow. I'm trying to answer this as politely, not against y'all, but politely as I can. Look, I will tell you, I have dealt in my career, I've dealt with a lot of folks who wanted to be in the position that I'm in today. I've had folks in previous stations who wanted to be where I was. And it's obvious, because, people talk about you, people might say things or whatever. But at the end of the day, I don't care. I don't care. My focus is focus on the task at hand. And that task at hand is telling stories that people care about. That also means getting better each and every day. Because if I let those folks get to me, that's what they want, right? They want you to fail. They want you to mess up. Because that gives them satisfaction. Why would I want to give them satisfaction? Why would I want to make them happy? I cannot focus on the little things. I've seen it throughout my whole career. And sometimes it does get annoying. And sometimes, I'll be honest with you, I'm not perfect. Sometimes I'm like, look, man, I'm about to pull this man aside. I'm about to tell him something. But I don't do it because I'm going to go above that. And there are certain things in life where if you react a certain way, you give them what they want, it might affect you in your career in the long run. So I would probably say to folks, just keep the blinders on. Stay focused on what you need to focus on. Because if you focus on the haters, because there's a lot of them, if you focus on people who want to take your job or do other things, that's gonna be an issue. And also, if they're saying stuff about you, that's a good thing. That means you're good. Because if they're not saying nothing, if they're real quiet, you ain't all that. So keep that in mind.
All right, now jumping over to YouTube real quick, we have Janelle who has a question. What advice would you give to someone that's fearful of failing?
You got to jump off the cliff at some point and fly. You know, you can't, we all fail. We all fail. Like I said earlier, I missed 2 deadlines when I first started at my station. I was scared. But if you don't fail, you won't grow. You won't grow. So if I mess up, okay, cool. What did I do wrong? How can I make an adjustment? How can I get better? You can't sit there and be in the same mindset and be afraid to fail. You're not going to grow. Okay? So, I totally understand that. I know people, and even me at some point, I was like, I'm afraid to make this jump to this station. I'm afraid to make this jump and do these big, exclusive, in-depth stories. I was afraid, but I knew that I had to let that go. I had to sit back, let it go, and tell myself, you know what? This is not how I'm going to stretch my wings and fly. This is not how I'm going to get better and exercise these muscles that I have in me that I never knew I even had, right? There might be something in you that you never knew you had, but the reason why you never got it exposed was because you was afraid of failing. Don't do that to yourself. Open yourself up and say, you know what? If I fail, if I'm writing a script and my news director or my manager or my professor rips this thing apart, okay, how do we get better? That is how you learn. So I understand totally. We all don't want to fail, true. But in this business, it's you fail a lot. But you got to learn and you got to grow.
All right, another question from our YouTube chat, and I absolutely love this question, Daniela. She says, how do you balance being a journalist and being Daryl? And I think, I'm assuming that what she means is how do you balance like your work and your social life, especially Mr. Forges, aside from the fact that journalism is very time consuming. You know, people see you on their TV. No, don't let them see you out at a party, for example, and you're out there jiggling like, oh my God, that's the reporter that I see on my TV. Like, how do you balance being a journalist while being Daryl?
Well, now, wait, are we talking about younger Daryl or current Daryl? I'm kidding. So, I mean, look, if you wanna go out to the local bar, have a drink, whatever, cool, no worries. I've gotten stopped by people all the time. It's okay as long as you ain't twerking, doing all kind of crazy stuff. You know, buying 85,000 shots. You know what I mean? It's we being real. We're college students. We're being real. Okay, so I would say. For me, balancing everything, younger, I struggle with it because I was all work all the time. I got to build, I got to climb. So that was difficult. But as I've gotten older, I've learned that I have no choice but to separate it. When I was in Miami, I covered a lot of crime. And so it got so bad to a point where I was doing a story and it was about a child who was shot and killed out of retaliation. And I remember like there was like the crime scene, there's a birthday cake on the ground, like just splat on the ground. And his mom came up to me and she was just crying. And she said, you know, the boy was delivering that birthday cake to his cousin for his birthday. And that's when he got shot outside. And she started crying. And for the first time I just broke down and started crying myself. And that's when I knew, you know what, I got to separate work from personal, right? So that's when I decided, you know what, I gotta leave work at work, and I gotta go home with a fresh mindset. I at that time I got a dog, decided to, play with her. That helped me out a little bit. I got married last year. We're expecting our first child in 5 weeks. Like there's certain things I told myself, like, as I gotten older, I need to separate work from personal because it's not good for my mental. So I would say that's the mental thing. It takes time to do that because when you're young and just starting out, you want to take work naturally with you. But as time goes along, you will learn how to separate the two. Now, if you're going out, listen, me and my wife last week went to the furniture store to try to find a new couch. And I got stopped for a bunch of pictures. I mean, it happens. So you just got to just be cool with it and just know that even though you're off work, physically you're on work because people are going to recognize you everywhere you go. If I go out to eat, oh, the newsman. Or if I go to a bar, oh, the newsman. So make sure that you carry yourself in the way that you should, because nowadays with this right here, with this little phone, they could take pictures of you. Slide over, take a picture of you, and little do you know, you on FTV Live, you on somebody's chat, you in somebody's group chat with her friends or his boys. Hey, y'all saw such and such. Hey, pop, 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 pop. You don't want that. So judge yourself accordingly when you're out and about, because you just never know who's watching. You never know.
All righty, and another question from Yashika in our Zoom chat. How do you balance being respectful to mentors and superiors while ensuring that your voice is heard and that your personality is respected?
That's a very good question. That's actually a really, really good question. So you have to, it's like a thing when you're in the midst of it, right? If you're hearing a consistent thing amongst folks who talk to you or who's giving you advice, okay, cool. I got to fix that. Like for me, naturally, from the South, I love to talk fast. And so when I was first starting in the business, people said, oh my God, you're talking too fast. Like several people. So I knew, okay, I have to slow it down a little bit. But there's other things that you can decipher and go, okay, you know what, that's stupid. Like I had one guy, no joke, a news director in, I think, Virginia, who said, I don't like the way when you talk, your nose moves in a certain way. And I was like, okay, I'm how to control that. So I would probably just say, like, decipher like what is good advice and you don't have to take all of everyone's advice. Just listen, learn. Okay, you know what? I did notice I do that, or I did notice I do this. Let me go ahead and incorporate that and try to build. So you can't listen to everything that everybody tells you, but just kind of take a few things here and there, a few pieces here and there, and make your own puzzle. Okay.
All righty. Now, Brittany wants to know, she's over on Zoom and she wants to know, how did COVID-19 change journalism and how did you adjust during and after?
So for me, COVID, it didn't change anything for me because I was a traveling correspondent. So I just wasn't in the office at all. I was just out constantly doing stories. I would probably say COVID changed a lot when it came to germaphobes. Make sure we know germs. I also think it changed the business and the way we do interviews. Nowadays we do interviews like this with Zoom. I can call someone, do a quick Zoom interview, ask for some file video from the station, or tell them to take a couple pics, and that's my package for the day, right? So it's made the news business a lot more accessible for folks because we can easily Zoom somebody or FaceTime somebody and put them on television. I also think that it really opened up the thing I talked about earlier, mental health, especially as a Black person, as a Black man in America. George Floyd happened in the midst of the pandemic, and I was out there for 2 straight months covering that, and that really changed. I think, like for Black men and Black women to say, you know what, maybe I do need to go to therapy. Maybe I do need to talk to somebody, or maybe I do need to kind of figure some things out for myself. So there's a lot of things personally and professionally that the pandemic really impacted it, but especially in journalism.
All right. Now, as we are about to wrap up, just in a few minutes, earlier you touched on mental, like your mental space, your mental health. And the other day I was having a conversation with my colleagues about the fact that journalists, we don't talk much about how our mentality and our mental health is affected by the work that we do. And I think it's because a lot of us, we get to that point where we're conditioned in a certain way, especially if you cover crime, where every day you get up and you hear about a child that was killed, or a woman that was stabbed to death, or a man that was shot, something like that. And it's almost as if we get to that point where no longer affects us. Like, terrible things are happening around us, and we no longer have a reaction to it. We no longer feel any particular way about it. While for other people, this can become very draining for them, being exposed to this on a daily basis. How do you manage your mental health being in this field and being exposed to certain things?
Very good question. I would say that I take a lot of pride in, as soon as I get done anchoring that 4 o'clock show, at 5 o'clock, I leave it where it's at. And that takes time. That takes time. It's not something that you can easily do. But I'm at a point now where when I leave at 5 o'clock, unless I get like an email from a contact or something like that, I might, talk, but I try to leave it right where it's at, because I know if I take it home with me, it's not going to help me. I'm going to be drained, right? So I would say the biggest thing is it starts with like doing other things to get you away from news, right? So if you like working out, work out. If you like spending time with your family, do that. Spend time with your homeboys, your homegirls, do that. Working out or doing some type of hobby or an activity. Keep yourself busy in other things to keep your mind off of news, because you don't want to sit there on a Saturday, you're off and you're watching the 5 o'clock news. Why? Don't do that to yourself. Don't, unless like some crazy news happens, don't do that to yourself. So I would just say, like, just keep yourself occupied with other things in order to keep your mental sharp.
No,
right,
after the breakout session.
no, Mr. Lawrence. Yes, you're right. Now, while we take the final 2 questions, Mr. Forges, Janelle is asking, how do you deal with anxiety when speaking in public?
There's no video to play in between.
That's a good question. I would say, I always, even to this day, like before I start talking, I get these little knots in my stomach, right? But at some point, you just gotta, either there's one thing I do. Either I close my eyes for like 5 seconds and take a deep breath in and deep breath out. It's called tactical breathing. Whenever you get a chance, look that up. It's when you breathe deeply in with your nose, and then hold it, and then breathe out through your mouth. And you do that a couple times, that'll kind of slow your heart rate down, slow you down a little bit, and then you can get right into it. I'm at a point now where I could just get up and talk if need be, or I'll just take a quick moment, like 5 seconds to myself, and get it going. There's another thing that I do when I was at CNN. If I know that I'm going to talk on camera for 5 minutes, I'll put my headphones in, like I'm about to do a game, about to go play a game, basketball game or whatever. I put my headphones in, I'm listening to music, and I'm just getting dialed in. And that also helps as well. So there's certain different tactics that I use in order to kind of, keep myself calm.
And the last question from Janelle in the YouTube chat, how did you know that you wanted to be a journalist, and what aspects of journalism do you feel most comfortable with? So
I started, it was wild. So I started back in the 5th grade. In the 5th grade, I was doing the school's morning announcements, and I loved it because I was the guy that told people what they're having for lunch, right? So I was like, hey, today for lunch we're having blah, 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 blah. And as a kid, I just loved the fact that I could tell people things they didn't know. Oh, I didn't know that. And I love doing that. And that kind of got me into being curious into journalism. For me, when it comes to the type of stories I like doing, I could do them all, to be honest with you. But I think my favorites right now are definitely, I love politics. I could definitely do that all day. In this business, you have to know a little bit about everything. One day you're covering politics, and the next day they want you covering sports. So I take a lot of pride in just able to being very versatile and being put in any atmosphere and making it work.
All right, thank you so much. Now, do you mind sharing probably like an email address with our students online, just in case they want to reach out to you for whatever particular reason? Do you mind leaving them with an email address that they could get to you on?
Yes, I'm actually leaving it right now. I'm putting in the chat. So it's forges.daryl@gmail.com. And so if you have any questions or anything at all, you can just feel free to reach out to me for anything. So I just put in the chat, forges.daryl@gmail.com. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, I'm here.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Forges, for taking the time out of your day to speak with us today. This was a very informative session, and I can tell that our students appreciated it based on the comments and even the questions that they have been sending in the respective chats. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us, and we really do appreciate the effort that you place into being here to share with us this morning. And I know you have a busy day ahead, so I really do wish the best for you, not only today, but for the rest of the week and the rest of your career. And just keep up the good work.
Hey, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Actually, I'm about to anchor the 12 o'clock news in about 30 minutes.
There we go.
But this is what I love doing. I love talking to students, giving back, because I was in your shoes at one point, not knowing what I was going to do. And so just talking to you all today gives me an extra boost, and just seeing how hard you all are working. Very impressive school. Hopefully at some point when you guys are back in person, we can come and come visit and talk in person. So thank you all so much, and really appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, students, we have unfortunately come to the end of today's journalism breakout session, the end of today's program. And again, I really do appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in, for sending in your questions and even your comments from morning until now. Very, very informative and interactive session. All right, now, of course, if for whatever reason you need to reach me, you can also email me, aharriet11@stu.ncu.edu.jm. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and have a wonderful day. Make sure to come out for the rest of the week, DCS Week of Excellence. Feel proud to be a part of DCS, because DCS, we are the best, and there's no doubt about that. We are the absolute best. Thank you guys so much. Now over to our host in studio, Anicia and Trustan.
Thank you so much, Amoy. Thank you. We really enjoyed that television forum just now. We want to say thank you also to Mr. Daryl Forges, who took time out of his busy schedule to be here with us. We really, really, really do appreciate that. And we know the students, they enjoyed that as well. We just want to say welcome to those of you who are just joining us. This, of course, is our symposium in this, our DCS Week of Excellence for 2023. I'm Trustan Grizzle.
And I'm Onicia Dixon.
All right. Onicia, we were hopping from Zoom links just now, just to really understand the climate and what was happening in the various sessions. Now, from television, for the little I got from over there, right? Jamie, he asked he made a very good point, right?
Yes, what was
that? And I'd like to share that point with us. He said, as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, right? Even those who are known to be creatives, COVID-19 really forced them and asked the question, I know I'm creative, but how much more creative can I become?
Wow.
And that was a very, very, very powerful question.
Indeed.
And I was looking on it and I'm saying, wow, that is deep. That is deep, because even the presenter who was in the room, you know, we know rising stars.
Yes.
Yes. And because of the pandemic, they could not have dealt with rising stars in the traditional way of doing it. So she had to pivot and think deeply within herself and say, how
can I execute this?
How can I do this? Yes, because persons, they want the product, rising stars, but you know, we cannot be face to face and all of this. So what can we do?
Yeah, without losing the taste.
Right. And she said, you know, I'm going to bring back into focus why it is that people even love Rising Star in the first place. And what she did every week, there was a 1-hour show where she took the highlights of a particular season, and every week you would have another year being featured.
Wow.
And that was very nice. That
Quite
was creative. Yeah.
Indeed.
You were at journalism. How did that go?
Man, that was awesome. Mr. Daryl, he did a wonderful job. Two things actually stood out during that presentation, Trustan. So they had a question and answer segment, and one of our students asked a question. What advice would you give to someone that is fearful of failing? And he said, if you don't fail, then you don't grow.
Wow.
Right? And that stood out to me so much because, you know, oftentimes all we think about, like, failure is final. And I just want to encourage our viewers, those in studio, failure is not final. It's just a chance. It's just a chance for you to know what to do better next time.
Yeah, and you know, interestingly, I was having a conversation like this the other day, and the person with whom I was speaking said, you know, there are two types of failures. There's the one that you feel now, but you get up, so that is a part of your story, and it contributes to your success. And you also have the person who would have failed, and because of that failure, they use that as
motivation.
They use that as the defining factor of their life. So that's the ultimate result of their life. They're a failure. So you have the person who would get up from the failure,
learn from
it, right? And those who would stay there and become
failure is final.
Failure. I don't want to be the latter. So failure is a part of our story, and we should also embrace that.
Yes. And another thing that he mentioned, never give up. So he was sharing with us that things were not easy at the start of his career, but guess what? He never gave up.
Wow.
He pushed through it all to become who he is now.
Yeah.
So I implore you, never give up.
Wow. And that somewhat ties into what I heard over radio.
Wow.
Because the presenter there said, you know, just do it. You know, you're just starting out in the profession. Just do it. Right, Nike promo right there. But it's not about the popularity, and it is not about, you know, the number of likes you have on social media. It is not about what persons are going to have to say about, you know, all the unnecessary things. It is just for you to realize that, yes, I have a purpose to fulfill. I have an audience to reach. This is my niche, and I'm going to fulfill my purpose.
Indeed.
I have this medium, and I'm going to utilize it to the best of my ability, and this is exactly what I'm going to do. So just do it. Don't give up.
Indeed. And failure is not final.
It is not. It is not. So that was...
Yeah, sums up the sessions.
Right.
All right, so at this time, I just want to take the opportunity to thank our sponsors. Without them, this event would not have been possible. For those of us who are just joining, you are tuned in to DCS Symposium 2023 under the theme Rebound, Recheck, and Restore. I want to say a special thanks to our sponsors, Independence City Pharmacy, and you can find them on Instagram at iCityPharmacy. That's iCityPharmacy. Kelcar's Catering. You can find them on Instagram at kscaterings.ja. That's kscatering.ja. We also have 100 Shades of Beauty, and she's a DCS student. You can find her Instagram handle is at 100 Shades of Beauty. That's at 100 Shades of Beauty. Carla's Escape Spa at Carla's Escape on Instagram. That's at Carla's Escape. And finally, Prestige Phone and Accessories. You can find them on Instagram at _prestige_phones_. Let me repeat, at _prestige_phones_.
Yeah, wow. Now, we are heading into the final aspect of our program for today, which is going to be our panel discussion. Yes. Now, on our panel, we will have Sachel McDonald's Gray, Esquire, an attorney at law based in Florida. Sachel graduated from NCU in 2004 with a degree in mass communication and a minor in pre-law and political science. Wow. Now, this sounds very familiar. Very familiar, yes. That's, in fact, the exact thing I'm currently pursuing. She worked for the Jamaica Gleaner Company as a feature writer before transitioning to working as the local contact agent for the Turner Broadcasting Agency in Jamaica via the Institute of Law and Economics, ILE. In 2021, she started her own boutique law firm, L. Gray PA, which offers highly personalized and client-centered legal services in relation to immigration law, as well as targeted services in the areas of probate law and estate planning, civil and consumer law, and family law. She believes the singular purpose of her work is to achieve the best outcome for her clients while simultaneously minimizing the stress of the entire legal process as much as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, Sachelle MacDonald Gray.
And our second panelist is Cliff Hughes. Now, Cliff Hughes is one of Jamaica's most respected and admired broadcast journalists. He began his broadcasting career in July 1986 at Radio Jamaica, RGR, as a sports reporter / producer. Within 4 years, he was promoted to the position of chief sub-editor and presenter at Jamaica's oldest communications group. Mr. Hughes graduated with an upper second-class honors degree in mass communications and social sciences from the University of West Indies Mona campus in 1986. In 1990, Hughes won the prestigious British, Foreign and Commonwealth Sir Egerton Richardson Scholarship to pursue postgraduate studies in communications policies studies at City University in London. When he returned from England a year later, he was appointed as Jamaica Broadcasting Corporation, JBC's youngest director of television news and current affairs at age 29. Hughes is credited with restoring the credibility of JBC TV News in the early 1990s. He also pioneered the successful emergence of Sunday afternoon television talk in Jamaica with the award-winning program Perspective. He left JBC in April 1995 to form his own media communications company, A1 Communications Limited, specializing in the production of news and current affairs programming. Having done a stint as a regional trainer for the Commonwealth Broadcasting Association, the CBA, in 1996 throughout the English-speaking Commonwealth Caribbean, Hughes returned to Jamaica to pioneer and develop his flagship news and current affairs afternoon radio magazine program, Nationwide, in 1998. Nationwide with Cliff Hughes and Company is now acknowledged as Jamaica's premier radio afternoon news program. Hughes returned to Sunday afternoon television talk in March 2002 with his penetrating and insightful program, Impact with Cliff Hughes. Impact was aired locally on CVM TV, Television Jamaica, and a number of cable television systems on Channel 73 in the New York tri-state area of the USA. Cliff Hughes, through A1 Communications Limited, specializes in developing the skills of professionals to be effective communicators and performers in broadcast media. In 2003, his program Impact with Cliff Hughes won an Emmy Award for the incisive, cutting-edge cinematic interview, The Search for Answers, Malvo Exclusive Insights. The award was presented in the category Outstanding Investigative Reports. He won the prestigious National Journalism Award, Journalist of the Year for two consecutive years, 2003 and 2004. In 2005, Hughes established Nationwide's News Network Limited, NNN. The network operates nationwide 90 FM and island-wide radio broadcaster. He is its chief executive officer and executive producer/presenter. Now in his 36th year in broadcast journalism, Cliff Hughes has earned a reputation for being a highly skilled interviewer and moderator who is both feared and respected. On October 17, 2016, the government of Jamaica awarded Cliff Hughes with the Order of Distinction. command a class for his service to media and communication. Hughes' motto, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Mr. Cliff Hughes.
We also have Mr. Milton Walker. He has been a journalist for the past 30 years and is a graduate of the University of the West Indies. He first worked with the Jamaica Broadcasting Corporation as a producer, then moved to CVM Television in 1993, where he was responsible for the development of the station's local news and current affairs programs. In March 2008, Walker took up an appointment with the then RGR Group as news director, and later sports was added to his portfolio. He has been the project lead on some of the group's largest sporting events, such as the Olympics and World Championships. On October 1, 2022, he was named Deputy General Manager for Broadcast and Cable News, Sports and Current Affairs for the RGR Gleaner Communications Group. Walker has covered stories in most Caribbean territories, including the volcanic eruption in Montserrat, and was the first Caribbean journalist to arrive in Haiti after the 7.0 magnitude earthquake devastated that country's capital in January of 2010. Walker has also been one of the liaison personnel in Jamaica for Reporters Sans Frontières. In September 2022, he was elected president of the Press Association of Jamaica for a 2-year term. Walker is a One World Broadcasting Trust and CNN Fellow. He has won the Press Association of Jamaica PAJ and Caribbean Broadcasting Union Awards for news and sports coverage. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Milton Walker.
I feel honored to introduce this person. Truston Grizzle is a final year student at the Northern Caribbean University, pursuing a degree in communication studies with a minor in law and political science. He is a 2022-2023 holder of the prestigious DCS Burgundy jacket and is the student ambassador for the department, having represented them both locally and internationally. Truston has been a radio show producer, news producer, reporter, and sports anchor at NCU FM for the past 4 years. He has also hosted the news and current affairs program Topical Today on NCU FM and the student vidcast Topics on the Hill since 2021. Truston has also interned at the Mellow Media Group, where he expertly fulfilled his responsibilities as TV news producer and reporter, video editor, and a host of other roles. He intends to continue making waves in the media industry and to become a preeminent journalist in Jamaica. Truston believes that service to others is the greatest value that one can contribute to society. He is guided by the scripture, Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Ladies and gentlemen, Truston Grizzle.
And of course, our panel discussion will be moderated by Mrs. Basilia Barnaby-Cuff. She is a seasoned media practitioner with over 12 years of experience in the industry. She is a radio and TV presenter, MC, content creator, voiceover talent, speaker, influencer, among other things. After graduating from the Department of Communication Studies at NCU in 2009, Basilia began her career at LVFF, where she served as news reporter and presenter, desk editor, sports presenter, and radio announcer. Having a deep love for her alma mater, Basilia returned to NCU, where she spent 5 years as an adjunct lecturer, where she helped to mold the minds of young, upcoming media professionals, including myself.
Yes, and me too.
In 2017, Basilia founded Jamaica's only National Gospel Awards show, the Sterling Gospel Music Awards. In 2013, she was given the Prime Minister's Youth Award for Excellence in Journalism, and a year later, she was awarded as the Governor General I Believe Ambassador. She believes that in whatever we do, we are to be guided by the desire to execute with excellence. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the individuals who will be a part of the upcoming panel discussion, as well as our moderator, Mrs. Basilia Barnaby-Cuff. At this time, we'll have an item of entertainment by Alia Bryant, after which we'll reconvene right here.
Stay on my mind, live in me. Your song flows through my lips, your word moves through my hands. Your thoughts stay on my mind, live in me. And you can have all of me, have all of me, have all of me. 'Cause I'm yours, and I give you all of me, give you all of me. God, here's all of me, 'cause I'm yours, God, I'm yours. Yes, I'm yours. Your song flows through my lips, your word moves through my hands. Your thoughts stay on my mind, live in me. Your song flows through my lips, your word moves through my hands. Your thoughts stay on my mind, live in me. And you can have all of me, have all of me, have all of me. 'Cause I'm yours, and I give you all of me, give you all of me, give you all
Thank you so much. Beautifully done. Thank you so very much. What a great way to segue into our panel discussion feature this morning. My name is Basilia Barnaby-Cuff. Welcome, welcome, welcome for those of you who are just tuning in. Welcome to Symposium 2023. You are just in time for our panel discussion feature under the theme Rebound, Recheck, and Restore. And today we are getting ready to have a riveting discussion, a discussion filled with information. And I am sure that you are going to benefit, especially our students. And can I just pause to say that I am so proud of our students. Oh my goodness, I was just sitting there, just beaming and smiling. I was looking at Tristan, I was looking at Anissa, you know, they're like my little babies, you know, because we taught them during the pandemic. It was tough, but they made it through. And even though COVID is still around, we continue to see them blossom. I look at the production team behind the scenes, and I am so very proud. So to all our DCSs who are tuning in, we are so proud of you. And we really can't wait to see what you have to just offer to the world of media when you graduate. So again, good morning. Welcome to our panel discussion feature. Now, earlier on, Tristan and Anicia introduced our panelists, and I am going to be giving you the discussion in two parts. So first, we're going to be talking with Sechelle Gray, past student of DCS and attorney at law based in Florida. We're going to be talking with her first in segment 1, and then we're going to go over into segment 2, where we'll be talking with Tristan Grizzle and Milton Walker, as well as Cliff Hughes. So you have to stay tuned, because this discussion is about to get interesting, because we want you to understand, as media practitioners in training, and for those or guests who are watching, that it is possible to rebound. It is possible to experience restoration, and we're going to give you some key points that you can use to help you along this journey. So at this time, Sechelle Gray, good morning to you. How you doing?
Good morning.
Great to see another DCSer.
Yes, great to see you too. It's
Wonderful.
good to be here.
All right, so we introduced you and spoke about how you studied mass communication here at NCU. Of course, the best department, no argument about it. I'm not arguing with anybody today. Yes. You studied here at NCU, and then you went into law, right?
Yes, that's
so
correct.
So first of all, walk me through what your studies, what it was like. What was the experience like while here at NCU?
NCU, it was so long ago.
Yes.
I was telling my friends last week that in a year, it would have been 20 years since we were here. When I came to NCU had just transitioned from West Indies College to Northern Caribbean University, and it was just a novel experience. Now all of a sudden we had another option as opposed to UWI or UTech, you know. So, and this was closer to home. I'm from St. Elizabeth, so this was great for me. You know, I wasn't ready yet to be miles away from home, so that was great. And then when I came here, I actually intended to study English, and I wasn't sure what I would have done with an English degree. I didn't want to teach. And I spoke with the English department, and they sent me to mass comm. And they said, maybe you should talk to them, because if you do mass comm, then you can actually do something sensible with that, as opposed to just teaching.
Right.
And I went over there, and that was it. I went, and at the time they had Mr. Wiles, Everett Wiles, and Dwayne Cheddar, who's now at Oakwood.
Yes.
And it was those guys. So we were really, my group, we graduated in 2004. We were the first group that graduated after they had accreditation for the department. So we feel like we're the
and
group.
We thank you. We thank you all.
Yeah, we led the way for everybody else. So that was how that went. And I did a minor in law and political science, because at the time I was not certain I wanted to go to law school. I didn't see how I would have afforded law school here, but I did it anyway, because I said, just in case there's a miracle, I can do it. And one of the good things about accreditation, I remember when I came here, they told us that the degrees that you get from NCU are modeled from Andrews University in Michigan. And I had no plans to migrate at the time, but I felt better knowing that it would be, hopefully, it would have been recognized if I decided to do that. And I went ahead and did it. And I think 2 years in, or 3 years in, I met my husband who lives in the U.S.
Okay.
And then I realized, thank God, because now I'll end up over there, which I hadn't planned to do. So it worked out.
Okay, so you graduated with your degree in mass communication.
Correct.
With your minor in political science.
Yes.
And then you started working in the local media industry.
Right.
Where did you work and how long?
So after, I think in my 3rd year, they started sending us out for internships. And I ended up interning at the Gleaner as a features writer. But so that was the title they gave us. But actually, it was me and a young man named Kevin Clark. They actually, they actually put me on the obituaries desk. So I was writing obituaries for a while. And then eventually, they started, giving us a little bit more. And for a while, I was with the actual news reporter. I cannot remember his name. But that was an eye-opener for me because he took me out, when there would be breaking news, he would take me with him. And he took me to, there was an incident in Mountain View one time. I had never been there. I was like, I don't want to go. I was petrified. However, he said, it's fine, it's the press. Most people tend to have respect and they won't bother you. Plus, you're with me. And I went, saw my first dead person, and I was like, I don't want to do crime reporting.
Listen, I can relate. I can relate. So you did that for how many years?
I just did that for a year, and then I switched to the regular features desk at the Gleaner with, I think it was Linford Simpson that was head of it at the time. And we did a lot more, more nicer stuff, I want to say, than, focusing on the grim, grisly crime reporting.
Yeah, hard news.
Yeah.
Okay, so you then segued into studying law after you left. After you left Jamaica, you went overseas, you started studying law, and COVID hit several years into you practicing law after you graduated.
Yeah.
How did your mass communication degree help you through that season as a lawyer?
Well, mass comm is a very versatile degree for all of you. I'm sure you know that. My husband would always tell me, you can break out into any career you want to with the mass comm degree. It's very flexible.
Yes.
I think he had more faith in me than I did in myself. And so when I went to study law, it was very complicated. It's not like here. I don't even know what it's like here anymore. But for me, when I went to NCU, I just applied, got accepted, and I went. When I went to the U.S. and I decided to go back to school, it was not that straightforward or simple. The biggest problem for me was my transcript was international, and I needed it to be acceptable and up to U.S. standards. So I had to send it out to, they have an organization in New York, it's called WES, I think. And I had to send it to them, and they would go course for course, grade for grade, and make sure that it is equivalent to the United States requirements. And that was my biggest worry because I have friends that came to the US from other countries. I had a friend from Russia who was a lawyer in Russia. She migrated here and she couldn't practice law. She had to go back and do makeup courses. And so I was a little bit concerned that I would now be required to go back and take makeup courses. But God was good, and I didn't have to do that. They sent it back just the way it was. They didn't change anything, nothing at all. So that was really good. And then I had to, for law school in the US, you don't apply directly to the school. You have to send your application through what they call it LSAC, Law School Admission Council. So you have to send them your transcript, your application. You have to take the LSAT. LSAT sends the scores to LSAC, and then they package it and send it to your school.
So you had to do a lot of communication, a lot of writing,
yes,
a lot of expressing yourself, a lot of telling them, hey, I need to be a part of this program. So I'm figuring that that's one of the ways that your communication degree really came in handy.
Absolutely, because for me, we didn't focus at the time because we generalized a lot, but I preferred writing. I didn't want to be on TV or on the radio so much. I like to write. I always had a knack for it, and so that was my big strength, and that's where I wanted to focus. So yes, when I had to do all those things, it really came to bear for me. And then, funnily enough, when I started law school is a lot of writing. You have to write legal arguments, you have to write briefs, you have to write summaries.
So you were one step ahead of the game, man.
Listen, but when I was in law school, I had to reevaluate my entire thought process, what I thought I knew about writing, how I thought I was supposed to write. I had to throw it out and start over because it's a totally different sort of writing, as you can imagine. So for me, it came naturally, writing for MassCom, writing for, features and articles and whatnot. And then I had to transition into the whole legal writing where they have a specific outline that you have to follow. You cannot wander, you have to follow bit by bit by bit. There's this thing called IRAC, I'll never forget it. You have to state what the issue is, you have to state what the rule of law that's applicable is, then you have to write an analysis, then you have to write a conclusion. And that
So Sachel, you were doing a lot of writing, man.
Oh my God,
a whole heap of writing.
Yes.
And if you come to NCU and if you're a part of the Department of Communication Studies, you know you have to do a lot of writing as well. Yeah. So having a mass communication degree really helped her in her studies as a lawyer overseas and in her practice now as a lawyer. I am sure that she has many testimonies that she can pull on to encourage you or students and those who are watching that, hey, you can study mass communication and still branch off into so many other different things.
Absolutely.
So Sachel, listen, we are so proud of you. We are looking at you and as an example, or students are looking at you as an example as well. And we look forward to hearing more about you. All right?
And just before I go, if I may, the young man said he's doing the same thing program I did with the minor in political science. And that helps because someone said it earlier, you need to have a knowledge of current events, what's going on in the world.
It's a plus.
Be aware.
Yeah,
so,
be aware. It's a plus. Yeah. All right, we're going to throw to a break at this time. And when we come back, we'll go into the second part of our panel discussion.
Week of excellence, them can't pass without consent. Come out and be proud cause we're magnificent. All of these years full up of talents. Week of excellence, come from the hills, the valley mountains. Show everybody, bring all of your friends. Make this song be a new anthem. From your go NCU, you know DCS. Everybody know DCS. And the BESTS. Them just can't test. Let PLA to the rest cause I be a success. We lyrical, we official, dancers sing, we got it all. We never feel a sectional, you know what I mean, we topical. Info after factual, watch on everything, no small bonjour. We bilingual, separate so we be our week of excellence, them can't pass without consent. Come out and be proud cause we're magnificent. All of these years full up of talents. Week of excellence, come from the hills, the valley mountains. Show everybody, bring all of your friends. Make this song be a new anthem. So we step out now with Burgundy. Them no more than we. Big up Miss Daly.
Suspense, thrills and spills. All these are on show at the Lignum Vita Film Festival, LVFF, April 16, 2023 at 5:30 p.m. Come watch Jamaica's talent as we look at the likes of short films, mini documentaries, trailers, and so much more. It's LVFF 2023 at the NCU Gymnatorium on April 16 at 5:30 p.m. See you there!
Thank you so much for staying with us. My name is Basilia Barnaby-Cuff. I am your moderator for the panel discussion here at Symposium 2023. And now we're going into segment 2 of what we are exploring as it relates to restoration, rebounding, and rechecking. Yes? And here for the part 2 of our discussion, we have Mr. Truston Grizzle. I am so proud, can I tell you? Because I taught Truston in the height of COVID, and it was a challenging time. And so I'm proud to be sitting beside him, teacher and students. So proud of you, Truston.
Thank you.
We also have, and Truston, if you're just tuning in and you missed the introduction, Truston is a senior student here in the Department of Communication Studies at Northern Caribbean University. And he is also the 2022-2023 Male Burgundy Jacket holder. So proud. We also have joining us virtually Mr. Milton Walker, President of the Press Association of Jamaica and Head of News, Sports and Current Affairs at the RGR Gleaner Communications Group. Mr. Walker, great having you this morning. Well, it's now afternoon. And we also have Mr. Cliff Hughes, Emmy Award-winning journalist and businessman. So a very good afternoon, gentlemen. Online, we have Mr. Hughes and Mr. Walker. And beside me, Mr. Grizzle. Yes, we are in great company this afternoon. I hope that you are ready for the discussion. Feel free to take your notes, jot down all you hear. It is going to be so helpful as you continue to be prepared for the world of media. So I'm going to be starting with Truston. Now, I know that COVID came, COVID is still here, but COVID has changed a lot of things. Whole heap of things, might I add. So for you, Truston, you are still in the process of preparing to be a media practitioner. But how did COVID impact your studies, especially during those first few months? How did things change for you? How did you manage?
Well, as I normally say, you know, I really had one good year of university, well, good semester actually.
One good semester
of university life. And then in 2020, that all changed. And of course, for me, as it was with a lot of other persons, this was new. I did not know what was happening, you know, because I wanted to continue what was before, but yeah, we couldn't do that. As it regards my studies, I'm not so sure it really impacted me in a negative light because...
Maybe because you never know any better. Because you really just got one semester.
Yeah. And even in that time, you know, some of my courses were online. So it was a smooth transition into the online space. So I wasn't really affected. Of course, the interactions that I would have wanted to have, I really didn't have that. And, you know, coming from high school, people would have said, you're enough, like trust enough, you mean everything. I didn't really get to have that in university.
You didn't get an opportunity to be enough.
Right. But I was as enough as I could be, yeah?
Oh, yes, he was. Online, enough in every area. So the transition from online, like partially online to fully online, was almost seamless for you, simply because he really is a COVID student baby. So that's really all he knew. And almost 3 years later, you are almost at the end. So you can say when you get older, you can tell your grandchildren, I did my degree online, because that's basically what he did. But for you, do you think, hearing from your peers and hearing from those around you, do you think that COVID made things better in terms of our ability to adjust and recheck ourselves and say, hey, all right, I know it's not the ideal situation, but I have to just readjust and get with the times. Do you think it helped our students and others to really just have a different kind of thinking?
Well, I think it's really dependent on who you are as a person.
Are so correct.
Because what works for me in the online space may not necessarily work for you. You can be the up and center, you know, physical person. I need to go to school. I need the teacher to be in front of me. And, you know, with our education system, it is not as diverse and dynamic as we would have wanted it to. So it could have probably hindered a few students who had to do this thing online. So it really depends on who you are as a person and your ability to adjust and be disciplined. And because that plays an important part. Nobody is going to be over you saying, listen, you must do this and you must do that. You're not in a confined space, you know, that is saying, listen, this is the educational system. You're in a classroom, you need to be paying attention or stuff like that. So it's really discipline.
And it's incumbent on us as individuals to just know what we want, know what we need to do, and get it done. Thank you, Tristan. We'll come back to you as we continue our discussion. At this time, I'm going over to Mr. Milton Walker and Mr. Cliff Hughes, who are joining us virtually. A very good afternoon, gentlemen. How you doing?
Good afternoon. I'm good.
I'm well.
Awesome, awesome. All right, I'm going to start off with Milton, and then I'll go over to Mr. Hughes. We're talking about assessing the media times in COVID and where we are now. Do you think we are worse off than pre-COVID, or do you think that COVID has come to make us better? I'll start off with Milton, and then we'll go over to Cliff.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having us. I think it depends on which angle you look at that issue from, because most media will tell you from an advertising standpoint that they are still struggling to meet the advertising targets that they had prior to COVID. And of course, advertising is the lifeblood of media in Jamaica. You don't have advertising, you simply can't stay on air. And that was a challenge. Advertising revenue plummeted during COVID. A lot of business activity just simply stopped or came to a much slower pace. And so following that, advertising is generally one of the first budgets that are cut when companies are in difficulties. And with the economic downturn, that was a consequence. There's some companies that have bounced back better than others, but I do know that overall, and it's not just here in Jamaica, that media are struggling globally. For example, digital advertising, which grew or was on a real upward trajectory and grew during the pandemic, fell last year. And so we are all dealing with that. So that's been one major change. I think we've realized in media how valuable technology was to us, because technology helped us a lot to survive during the pandemic. We, for example, broadcast or persons did their shows from home via various technologies, which never happened before, unless it was an outside broadcast. But all you needed now was a laptop, a good microphone, and a really good stable internet connection. So that's something which was a very positive outcome from the pandemic and allowed media to survive. We also, for example, here at TVJ, we had a situation where one of our technical editors, and at times it was more, worked from home, editing stories, controlling one of our editing suites via laptop. And I remember the first time it happened, and I was just standing outside the editing room and looking at the edits being taken place, and just marveling from my days way back to JBC when the editing was a straight cut operation, to see now that an editor could edit stories from their home, and that allowed us to survive, and helped us to reduce the numbers of persons that we had here in the newsroom. So those things helped. We still use some of them, and I think we will use them going forward in the future. I think we also realized, and I'm not sure if I said it before, the importance of technology to the media industry. Zoom television stations were able to use Zoom to do a live interview, and you saw that globally. We did it and continue to use it. Before doing a live meant, we're doing lots of town halls and people have lots of questions of the health ministry, the Dr. Prasad Baseso, the chief medical officer, sorry, her title escaped me. Those were important tools that we use to get the message out. And so we're grateful for those pieces of technology to us. We realized also, I think, the importance of technology, social media, and social media was useful. There was a downside to it because I think it was single-handedly responsible for the high percentage of vaccine hesitancy, which exists in and continues today. And in a country where we had vaccination rates very high in the 90s, it was difficult for us to reconcile it. And we can see our vaccination rate is just about 29 or 30% compared to others. So that's very crucial. Mm-hmm.
Importance of technology, because COVID has really taught us that a lot of things can be done differently. And I think that, as you said, Mr. Walker, a lot of those things we will continue to use in the future. Mr. Hughes, let me hear your input on this question, please.
Good afternoon, and thanks for the invitation. I think Milton hit the nail on the head in several respects. Yes, COVID was primarily a pandemic, a public health threat, but it affected humanity on several levels, not only as a public health threat, but economically, socially, technologically. It forced us to re-examine how we interacted with each other. It made us appreciate more than we did prior to March 2020, what it was for us to be social beings. Yes, that we really needed to socialize, to have that contact, that face-to-face contact, how important that was. We had taken that for granted until COVID hit us hard. Milton started by looking at the advertising fallout. Yes, that was massive. I think it's an untold story in terms of how media as in traditional media and new media were impacted by the economic fallout from COVID. Yes, some media houses are still barely struggling. Yes, we got a massive hit. After a year of profit, we were just looking at our numbers draining away come 2020. And that continued throughout 2020, throughout 2021. We were confronted with issues such as, do we cut staff? Yes. How do we pivot to hold the revenue and to staunch the decline in revenue? Yes. One of the good things out of that was the fact that it forced us, COVID forced us to accelerate our shift to online media production and presentation. It forced Nationwide to bring forward our plans by at least 24 months. Yes, and it's one of the things that we are now benefiting from, because all of a sudden we're being forced to learn fast. We're in a steep learning curve on how to really organize, plan, and produce in a completely new way. We were traditional broadcasters on radio. Yes, did some video production as in documentaries. But what COVID forced us to do, we had to look, our work environment. Who could we keep at home? Yes? And what did we need to make them effective performers, producers from home? What did we need in terms of the machine and technology, the software? Yes, how do we cost that? How do we compensate those people who had to work from home? It was a nightmare. But after 3 years, we have learned a lot. And frankly, you know, in the broad sweep of human development and history, these things happen. And they will happen again. The difference is going to be, what did you learn, from that initial experience to ensure that the succeeding generation will be better able to manage the fallout at several levels. One of the things that I am particularly disturbed about as a result of COVID, and Milton alluded to it, fake news, the rise of disinformation and fake news, yeah? And we have not yet seen the end of that. And we are going to be paying a very, very big price for that, because everybody now can be, what they call it, an influencer, journalist, blogger, vlogger, yes? And they are not subject to the rules, the protocols that we, the traditional broadcasters, yes, are subject to, yeah? And we have not seen the end of that story yet. And I'm worried about that. So, in closing, in my 2 minutes, COVID was a mixed bag, yeah? It produced some serious economic and social damage, yeah? But it has also made us a better global village, yeah? And I hope we have learned from it.
Mr. Hughes, I just want to follow up on something you said. So you spoke very passionately about fake news because, as you said, everybody has a news source now on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, everywhere. And it's almost like a rat race for people to be first with the news. And as you rightly said, they are not subject to the same rules and standards that traditional media is. Now, how do you maintain, as a media host and as a station that focuses on news a lot, how do you strike the balance between being first as a source in light of everything that's happening and in light of everybody putting out information, a lot of the times incorrectly so? How do you strike the balance between being first and ensuring that you are right? You've been in media for a long time, sir, so I know that you can advise us on this. How do you do this, especially in a time like this?
Well, we were doing it before.
Yes.
Yes. What the rise of the purveyors of fake news has done is to force us to look at those protocols that we lived by, yes? How do we strengthen them? What are the points of fact-checking we have to do before we publish? But I must tell you, it generates growing tensions within the organization, challenges within the organization, because you're being constantly told, but I see it on Twitter already. I see it on Facebook already. Why we can't get it up yet? Yeah, and we have our defense, our editors, our supervisors have to be saying, we have not yet verified or confirmed, but the pressure is on.
Yes.
Yeah, because you're going to be beaten. But invariably, you may be beaten once or twice, but we have to maintain that we get it right. Yeah? Because if we don't get it right, yeah, Milton will tell you, the defamation suits, yeah, the laws,
they're not cheap.
The letters from the lawyers are on your desk in 48 hours. Yes, they are subject to that. But I don't think we have yet developed the appetite to go after those purveyors of disinformation, yeah, as how they go after RGR and Nationwide and the observers and whoever, yeah. But it does generate tension, it puts us under pressure, and we have to maintain and hold the line.
Mr. Walker, do you experience that same kind of pressure over there at the RGR Galena Communications Group?
Indeed, and perhaps even greater than anybody else, because we are a traditional, long-standing media. RGR is about 80 years old. TVJ, which is the successor station to JBC, been around from the early 60s. So people expect you to have it. One of the things that I've found that a lot of persons are coming to us to verify information. So do you have that component? Yeah, they come to us for news, but some people may have consumed stuff elsewhere, but they're not believing it or accepting it until they see us with it or have a version of it. So we get those comments and calls. The other thing that we have to be mindful for, as Cliff said, is the lawsuits. We're a libel magnet. People see our annual report and our figures, because we're a publicly traded company, and assume and think that RGR has a lot of money. So we don't get those letters in 48 hours. We get them sometimes the same evening, where people are sending us. I've even got letters from persons seeking to initiate action about a story where somebody died, and everybody knows in this business you cannot libel a dead person. So that's the extent to which you've and they've engaged lawyers to do stuff like that. So to retract or apologize, that hits your credibility. It really does. So it's better people to say, yeah, well, at least I can believe them, rather than saying, I'm not so sure, because every minute them come up with something and we can't believe it. Yeah, you don't want to be in that kind of environment. But it is reinforcing our code, reinforcing the checks and the steps that you take before you get a story to air, to ensure that we comply with all of those.
Much, Milton. Now, Tristan, as a student, you would also be exposed to a lot of these fake news sources and not knowing what is true, not knowing what is right. And in your studies, you've had to do researches, you've had to do your own reports even. How have you managed to navigate this whole space of choosing the right source? I know DCS would have taught you how to properly source, but then COVID came and we were all trying to figure out, all right, how do we navigate this space as a student? How have you navigated, especially where sourcing is concerned?
Well, I think as students who are more often than not always on social media, we will see those news stories first, But then we have to understand that we should be intelligent when we are seeking news. We have to know how it is that we digest what is in the news space, right? So you go to the Twitter or the Instagram or YouTube, whatever the case.
Especially the Twitter.
Whatever the case is, and you see something, it strikes you, and you said, okay, let me see what other sources have to say about this. Let me see what RGR is saying. Let me see what TVJ is saying nationwide. And whatever you see in those spaces, then you can either accept or then deny what you saw in the first place on social media.
And I know that our lecturers are always fact-checking to make sure that our students are properly sourcing these things and quoting them accurately. So it's definitely a season in which we are forced to adapt and make sure that we stay on the right path. Now, we talk about what things were like pre-COVID and what things are like now. Mr. Walker and Mr. Hughes, is there anything that you miss pre-COVID? I know you've had to adjust and, be like, okay, let's just keep this moving because we have to stay above water. But is there anything that you miss pre-COVID? And Milton is thinking, so to me, it feels like, boy, it's such a distant memory. Hello, so far away, so long ago. Is there anything that you miss, Milton? And Cliff, if you can think of anything off the top of your head, you can chime in as well.
Yes, I miss being able to go about my business, enjoy myself, without not having to think, should I be wearing a mask?
Yes.
Yes. How far I should stand from someone. I miss that freedom that I used to have without thinking about it. Now, I am fully vaccinated. Yes, thank God I never got COVID.
Yes.
Yeah. But it bothers me sometimes. I was somewhere only yesterday and saw 3 people in masks. And I said, oh dear, I'm not wearing a mask.
Wow.
Yeah. So I miss that. I miss that in a serious way. In terms of the practice, no, I really, there's nothing that jumps out at me, yeah, that I miss. Yeah, except I would like my business to get back into profit again.
And we would like that for you as well. Milton, you have been thinking. Have you come up with anything?
Yeah, I can't think of, in terms of journalism, anything that we miss. I think it's led to improvements, it's certainly in our efficiencies, and given us options, you know. Someone can work from home, which previously didn't exist. I know my colleagues at the Glean at one point, pretty much all reporters were working from home, and so that was, that helped in many ways. And I think going forward, we will continue a kind of hybrid as far as that is concerned. For me, you know, during the pandemic, one of the things that I missed most is just being able to connect with people, to even just hug someone you hadn't seen for a while. And yeah, it's coming back now, but there's still times when, you know, some people would have perhaps hugged, they're stretching out a fist instead. So, and you understand and have to respect that, because the population vulnerable during the pandemic. And so that you may want to look at that as a little bit of a positive, because people are paying more attention to those issues. I still don't think enough. But we have focused a lot more on health issues in our newscasts and our current affairs programs than before, because of this new reality that we're faced with.
Well, I miss the media gatherings. Companies were always inviting us to come and treat us and wine and dine us. I miss that. And I used to see, especially Mr. Hughes, at a lot of them. So I miss that a lot. And, you know, we talk about rechecking and rebounding and restoring. You know, or students who are watching at this time and they're saying, all right, we're getting ready to go out into the media world. We're getting ready for the real world. But, and I would not say unfortunately, I would say fortunately, because I think they are a little extra prepared for what is to come and what may happen in the future, because we don't know if we'll have another pandemic. Hope to God we don't.
Right.
But if we do, I think our students know, who are in school, who are being prepared to be media practitioners, they have a lot more experience that they can pull on. I'd like to hear from you two gentlemen some key media values, and I want you to highlight 2 key media values that you can think of that should never be compromised, no matter the season, no matter if it's COVID, no matter if it's a disaster.
Well, I can tell you, with or without COVID,
yes,
there are some key things that I would like every student at NCU, and for that matter across Jamaica,
yes, sir,
at Carimac or UTEC, to come to graduation ready for the world of work in respect of 1, general knowledge, public affairs, command of public affairs, a command of Caribbean history, society, and politics. You can't come into a newsroom and be a graduate of a mass communication or journalism program and you don't understand the forms of government we have in Jamaica and the wider Caribbean, or basic history and politics. It is just not acceptable. And I don't know about Milton, but I can tell you, we are having a serious problem. When I interview people coming for jobs, what we do, you have the first degree, okay, you make the cut, yes, and then we do a shortlist. I don't look at the resume after that. The moment they come in for the interview, I start a discussion. Yes, about, let us pick an example. Reparations, big emerging issue in Caribbean society today. What's the link between reparations of today with what happened in Jamaica in 1865? Yeah? Or why is NATO now seeing Finland as its newest member? Why is that important to us? Yeah? Why is the rise of China and the global conflicts of importance to us? And people look at you and say, what are you talking about? You can't be graduating from a degree now in journalism. Yeah, I heard you earlier speaking about doing a minor in law and political science. Very good. Because we have people coming to us without basic general knowledge. And we can't use you. I can't give you a job. I don't have time to teach you that. Yeah? They're coming to us, no understanding of Caribbean literature. They don't know who is Selborne. They don't know who is Lanning or Walcott. They never met them. So I can tell you, don't come to me and you don't have that basic grounding. And the other one I would say, this is not a glamour job. It is not. Journalism is a hard-nosed job. If you don't have an abiding interest and love for your country and people, then forget it. I find out more and more coming, oh, they want to do entertainment. They don't really want to do journalism. Yeah, they don't really want to write. Yeah, they can't speak English. No.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's a challenge throughout the industry. And by the way, not just here in Jamaica, but the Caribbean. And I'll pick up on what Cliff said. You need to be aware of what's happening in your sister territories in the Caribbean. The issues are almost identical, right? The struggles, the challenges are almost the same. If you go to Trinidad, Barbados, Antigua, we are faced with the same. And if you even go to one of their political meetings, you feel like you're in a meeting in Maypen. Trust me, I've been to rallies in those countries, and we are far more alike than we are different. Some of the accents may be a little different. The idea that we're in a global village, and how a war in a distant land, 7,000 miles away in Ukraine, is affecting our inflation, and the price of what we are paying for goods and services, in particular oil. That's important to understand the global village and the interconnectedness of the world and the economics and the rise of China. We see Saudi Arabia and Russia, China coming together. That's disrupting the world order, which came out of World War II. So your knowledge of history must be important. But you must know your society. You must know that we had a financial crisis where almost 3/4 of the banks in Jamaica almost went under, and insurance companies, and many went under, including some over 100 years old. That just happened 20 years ago. You cannot be coming into journalism and not know that. There's tons of stuff online for you to read. And I'll also say persons need to have an appetite to read. A lot of our young people nowadays don't like to read. You have to read. You must read articles and long articles, and there's some well-written ones in global publications that are free, and available online. We didn't have them back in my day when I just started. We had to go to the library at UWI, or if somebody was coming to, whenever somebody used to come to Jamaica from abroad, I used to beg them to bring newspapers for me from the Caribbean or wherever, because I just wanted to see what other people were reading. No, you don't have to. You can just go online. You know, you can read the Jerusalem Post, find out what's an Israeli take on what's happening there. You can read stuff from the Palestinian perspective as well. You know, and so there are tons of material there that you can read. And reading helps your writing.
Yes.
Yeah, it helps your writing, and that is a key issue which a lot of us are not very strong in. You need to understand how your government works, how the parliament works. You cannot come here and not know how many senators there are and how the upper house and the whole constitutional structure is there, because we're having a debate now about reforming the constitution and replacing the monarchy with a republic. You need to know what exists, yeah, and why it existed. So those are very important. And I'll also add the continuing, you must be really, really firm on integrity and accuracy. Those are lifebloods for any journalist. You're gonna get people coming at you from all angles with stuff. You have to understand that, one, you must be truthful and you must preserve your integrity, and also learn to cultivate and protect your source. That's very, very important to journalism. Yeah.
Boy, I tell you, Milton and Cliff, when we talk about this generation and their attention spans, you know, studies have shown that it is much shorter than even when I was in college, you know, with the entertainment industry and TikTok and people being drawn more to entertainment than to news and to truth. How can we give our students especially practical steps, or what's one practical step that they can take to ensure that they are more knowledgeable in their preparation for media?
You know, Basilia, I don't subscribe to the view that the generation of today has a shorter attention span, because they spend a lot of time online extending their thumbs and index fingers. It's what they're doing that is important. What are they watching? What are they reading? Which is important. It's not that they're not reading, it's what they're reading. Yes? What they're tweeting about, what they're posting. Yeah? Milton made a very important point. When I was going to high school, long ago, too long ago, nearly 50 years ago, I didn't have Google. Anytime I I was poor, I couldn't afford Britannica Encyclopedia. I had to go down to Tom Redcom Library and know. No, they have it at their fingertips. So we need to be teaching them at NCU and all over the place how to source information, how to research, how to sift information, how to use the tools that they are now blessed with at their fingertips. Yeah? When I started journalism nearly 40 years ago, yeah, we had to go by memory and knowledge. Yes? Now when I do my program and somebody raises, only yesterday, a man asked me about the Green Bay massacre. I knew and could remember some of the details. I couldn't remember all the details of the massacre. Yeah? Like how many men actually died at Green Bay. But I was able to do in 2 minutes, go on to Google, bring up the articles that gave me not only how many men were killed at Green Bay, but their names, and all the details. Now that is what our generation needs to learn, how to use the technology that is at their fingertips, yeah, to get themselves better informed and educated.
Would you add anything to that?
One of the things I say, yeah, one of the things I say to people is understand and accept that you don't know everything, but that you should know as much as you can. And for me, there's some little steps that I've taken throughout my career. Anytime I'm watching or listening to a program and I hear something new, if it's a word, I'm noting it because I'm going to go and look it up, right? Before I would go and have it to go looking at dictionary and stuff. No, I can literally Google it while the program is on. So I learn about it. If there's a particular person that they're talking about and I said, how come I don't know about that person? And it sounds like a historical figure. I would go and do the research and then start reading articles about that person as soon as the program is finished. So I can get a better understanding of what that person or who that person was. And it comes from a thirst for knowledge. In journalism, you're not just putting out information. You must be absorbing and getting as much as you can, because that's the only way you're going to better be able to inform your audience. Because if you're not fully aware, you're only going to be able to regurgitate what you hear on an assignment, and you're not going to be able to provide context. You're not going to be able to provide a proper framework to tell the story to your audience, right? If for example, there's a banking crisis in Jamaica, and you know nothing about what happened in the 1990s or what FinSAC is, your story is going to be weak. No matter how well you write, it's going to be weak. But the person who can provide some context and make reference, not in a long way, but just to make your current viewers and listeners and readers better able to understand and appreciate why it's important for to have regulations and for the BOJ to do X and Y. If you don't have that, your story is going to be inferior to the other person's.
Boy, Tristan, they say it's not your attention span, your generation. It's just an excuse.
Wow, yeah.
That our young people are using. What is your take on that? Do you find that you are challenged when it comes on to gathering information and reading and accessing information, even though it's at your fingertips?
Well, to be honest, I am not going to profess that I am an avid reader. I do a bit of reading, yes.
You need to do more.
Yes.
Yes.
Admittedly, yes,
Yes.
I need to do. When Mr. Hughes was speaking about having general knowledge and politics and government and all of that, I was there and I was saying, yes, that's me. That's me right there. I have a basic understanding, even more than basic. I have an understanding of what this is, right? But when I speak with others, they don't share the same sentiments, right? And probably it's because I have a love for that aspect, why I'm interested in it. But another student would not necessarily be interested in politics and all of that because they do not want to go that route in life. And I think it is time for us to have a mind shift.
I think so too.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that always comes up when we are doing our new interviews or interviews for our new students, when we used to do them in person or even online, was that persons just want to come and they want to go on TV and they want to turn on the mic and go on radio, but they don't really want to do the work behind the scenes. They don't really want to spend the time and read and make sure that they have the adequate knowledge to go in front of the camera. Everybody just wants to go and smile and be pretty and put on like a makeup and feel nice and be popular. But it's not about that, and that's something that we emphasize. It's not about that. There's so much more that goes into media than the glitz and glam that you think is there.
Yeah.
So we want to encourage our students to just remember and take notes. Just remember that there is a lot of work that goes into it. There's a lot of work that goes into making a Milton Walker who he is, a lot of work that goes into making a Cliff Hughes who he is, and you have to ensure that you take the necessary steps. There are no shortcuts. You have to take the necessary steps. So as we get ready to close out, I just want 1 point from Mr. Hughes and Mr. Walker from a place of policy or otherwise. What is one thing that you have implemented from where you sit that you are ensuring that if it is that we return to a lockdown way of life, I am praying and hoping that we don't. one thing that you are sure will help you to get through another phase like that?
We're seeking to formalize in terms of our rules, procedures, manual, and in particular HR, the work from home strategy, because it's not easy to just pivot to work from home. When you begin to work at it, as we have been doing, you realize that there are several related issues, yeah, that you have to iron out, you have to work through. So we are trying to complete that so that in the event of another pandemic, yeah, we can just pick it up off the shelf, yeah? And allied to just being able to pick it up off the shelf, we also have to get to a place where our staff, our human capital, very, very important, get used to the fact that we now have to learn to work online. Online. It means that we have to retool, yeah? We have to retool our production systems here, yeah? So that what Milton told you about, your editor can edit from your yard, yeah? So you don't miss a beat. So all our investment decisions now about software that we're going to use, equipment, what system we're going to use, we now bear that in mind.
All right, thank you. Milton?
Well, we have our work from home policy, which is in place, and it's active. As I said earlier, it's activated in some areas still for various reasons beyond the pandemic, because there are some obvious uses for it. I also believe that we are going to see another pandemic. I don't know when, but it probably will be in my lifetime, and I'm not so young anymore because of all what's happening globally. I would also say to young journalists that journalism is about, and there's this phrase which I learned some years ago, and I have adopted it for my own outlook on in the profession. Journalism is about afflicting the comforted and comforting the afflicted, and your work must reflect that all the time. Afflicting the comforted and comforting the afflicted, whichever way you look at it, that's what journalism is about. And so there are different components but at the end of the day, your work must make the society in which you live, and by extension the world, a better place to live in.
Wow. Thank you so very much, Milton Walker, President of the Press Association of Jamaica and Head of News, Sports and Current Affairs at the RGR Gleaner Communications Group, and Mr. Cliff Hughes, Emmy Award-winning journalist and businessman. Thank you so very much for pouring into us today. I am sure that our students are better for it. Yes. I am sure that they have a full couple sheets of notes. I hope so, yes. Because, you know, lecturers, please quiz them about this panel discussion, all right? Yes, put that in the coursework. And of course, Truston Grizzle, senior student and 2022-2023 male Burgundy jacket holder. And earlier on, we heard from Sechelle Gray, past student of DCS and attorney at law based in Florida. What a discussion this has been, Truston.
It was quite riveting.
It was, yeah. And I am sure that our students have learned a lot, and I am praying that they will put these things into practice as they continue their preparation to go out into the world of media. Yeah. Thank you so very much for tuning in. My name is Basilia Barnaby-Cuff, and it was my pleasure guiding you through this panel discussion. And I hope that you continue to enjoy Symposium 2023. We go to a break. Stay tuned.
Thank you, Dawn. Bye.
Suspense, thrills, and spills. All these are on show at the Lignum Vita Film Festival, LVFF, April 16, 2023 at 5:30 p.m. Come watch Jamaica's talent as we look at the likes of short films, mini documentaries, trailers, and so much more. It's LVFF 2023 at the NCU Gymnatorium on April 16 at 5:30 p.m. See you there!
Week of excellence, them can't pass it without consent. Come out and be proud cause we're magnificent. All of these years full up of talents. Week of excellence, come from the hills, the valley mountains. Show everybody, bring all of your friends. Make this song be a new anthem. From you go NCU, you know DCS. Everybody know DCS, or the BESTS. Them just can't test, let PLA to the rest cause I be a success. We lyrical, we official, dancers sing, we got it all. We never feel a sectional, you know that mean we topical. Info half factual, watch on everything, no small bonjour. We bilingual, separate so we be our week of excellence, them can't pass it without consent. Come out and be proud cause we're magnificent. All of these years full up of talents. Week of excellence, come from the hills, the valley mountains. Show everybody, bring all of your friends. Make this song be a new anthem. So we step out now with Burgundy, them no more than we. Big up Miss Daily.
The only difference between an action and a habit is one decision. Each drop of alcohol that you consume pushes you one step closer to becoming an alcohol abuser. Every sip, every cup will one day lead to self-destruction. Take control of your habits. Say no to alcohol.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Basilia Barnaby-Cuff and the panelists. That was indeed a wonderful conversation. Very timely.
Yes, very timely. I think this was, for me, I can't speak of anybody else, but this was for me.
Felt draped?
Yes, I was draped. You know, I have always been of the mindset that when I speak, I should speak from a position of being informed, and that comes by doing your research, by staying in the know, having general knowledge on certain things. And this was just a reminder that, listen, if you want to be an excellent journalist, you must do these things. Indeed. It is not about the glim and the
glamour.
Right. So I have a lot of work to do. It is not too late. It is not too late. I have a lot of work to do, and I hope that, you know, those who are watching online, they will also take stuff from this panel discussion and the entire symposium on a whole to make themselves better.
Yeah, man. Take heed. All right, so at this time, Tristan.
Yeah.
We've always heard a statement, all the good things must come to an end.
Yes, yes.
And at this time, we are about to close off Symposium for 2023. I want to say a special thank you to a few persons. We'll thank the breakout session host, Jamie Roden, who hosted the television section, Miss Satasia Kog, who hosted for public relations, Mrs. Joni Lee Forsyth for journalism, for radio rather, and Amoy Harriet for journalism.
Yeah. For our breakout session presenters, we have Cynthia Shea Clark, Mr. Daryl Forges, Sharon Shorter, and Naomi Garrick. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
To our panelists, Mr. Milton Walker, Mr. Truston Grizzle, Mr. Cliff Hughes, Mrs. Sachelle McDonald Gray, and moderator, Mrs. Basilia Barnaby-Cuff. A big thank you to you all.
And of course, Anissa, we cannot end today's program without saying a big thank you to our sponsors. Indeed. We had Independence City Pharmacy, Kel Cars Catering, 100 Shades of Beauty, beauty with two eyes at the end, Carla's Escape Spa, and Prestige Phone and Accessories. Thank you so much to our sponsors. And of course, our production team.
Without them, this would not have been possible. So thank you to our hard-working production team for making this come alive. Trustan, there's something special happening at 3. You want to take a guess? You know what's happening at 3 p.m. this afternoon?
It's all about affirmation.
Yeah, man. Now we know DCS is big on affirming,
yes.
Right? So join us at 3 p.m. this afternoon at the chapel, main auditorium on main campus. This will be our first face-to-face affirmation service since 2019. Can you believe it?
Wow.
You are being implored to wear your DCS shirts and come and celebrate the students and staff who are being affirmed.
Yeah.
So tell you what, see you at 3 in your burgundy shirts. Yeah.
Burgundy Nation out. Until then, I'm Trustan Grizzle.
And I'm Onise Dixon.
Goodbye.
It was really good,
We continue to strive for excellence. 3.5, nothing less. DCS. We are the best. DCS. We are the best. Department of Communication Studies, devoted and committed to serve. We are the future. We continue to hone our craft to achieve real success at last. DCS, we are the best. We continue to strive for excellence. 3.5, nothing less. DCS, we are the best. DCS, we are the best. DCS always have the victory. Them no know when next move is a mystery. Other department always try step to it, but them feel we left them in adversity. No one throughout the university, we have the key. So are we lock city, always a strive, but some of them yet fissy. So we department full of ecstasy. DCS.